poorfortrump@gmail.com. If you send us an email at poorfortrump@gmail.com, we will send you a reply, and you can see why we are for Trump and don't believe that Hillary Clinton or the Democratic Party have a good plan for the future of the United States. Now, this is New York City. We're riding on the 5 bus, and this is Central Park, 59th Street. We're about to turn. Right over there is Trump Plaza. Used to be the Plaza Hotel, a very famous place. But it was headed for the wrecking ball because New York City was in trouble. It was bankrupt. And Koch was mayor, and Reagan was president, and New York City was bankrupt, having been run by Democrats for many, many, many years. There's always Democratic control, the city council. They make the laws here, and they run this place like a bunch of idiots. They ran it into bankruptcy. And the people keep voting them in. They think it's wonderful, but they don't understand what they're doing here. But I could be wrong. We could be wrong. Those of us who are poorfortrump@gmail.com. But we think that New York City is going to be blown up with an atomic bomb. We really do. In fact, we don't know for certain it will be, but we'll be surprised if it doesn't happen eventually, because the Iranian government has publicized 50 years now publicly, not the terrorists, not the Muslims, because real Muslims are peace-loving people. Muslim means peace. But and the terrorists use that, they're like anywhere else, they use religion to get money, and they get the people to do stupid things for them, like kill themselves up. But one thing's true, the government in Iran hates Jews, and they hate gays, and they hate blacks. Just like the Nazis hated them, because the Bible talks about powers and principalities. It's talking about demons, and demons are fallen angels that humans worship and entertain and enjoy, and then they are false gods. Moloch is one of them. People sacrifice their children for sex, and they get high, they go to high places, or they use marijuana, they get high, and they worship the god Moloch. But they don't think they're worshiping the god Moloch, they think they're worshiping the god of creation. But they're not. And when you worship a demon, then you place yourself under Satan's authority and control. And then Satan can do whatever Satan decides to, because you called Satan God. And this may be all fantasy like most New Yorkers think, but it may not be a fantasy. It may be exactly the way things are. Anyway, now here's New York City, and they vote Democrat, Democrat, Democrat. Supposedly care about black people, supposedly care about women rights and about gays and all these wonderful things. But if you're gay and you live in Iran, the law says you have to be put to death. That's the law in Iran. And it's also the law in Saudi Arabia. And it's also the law in Kuwait. That's the law. And it's not the Muslim people. It's whoever's controlling the government, and the government is always controlled by an elitist group of people who don't quite agree with the population of the country. The Democratic Party has run the United States government for 80 years. Roosevelt came in for 25 years, Democratic president, Democratic Congress, maybe once or twice the Republicans had a year or two, and then it went back to the Democrats. And in all that time, they did absolutely nothing significant to help poor black men get beyond the 50% unemployment rate in the United States. And Roosevelt pretended he cared, invited black people to the White House and made them come in through the back door. And then the first time the government did something about racist problems like segregation is when Eisenhower was president, Republican, but it was only 2 to 4 years, maybe 6, I think it was 4, where the Republicans for a change had control of the Congress, the Senate, and they had the presidency. And what did they do? They told the Justice Department to go to Arkansas and demand that Arkansas let black children go into the white school. And that was the Supreme Court landmark case. It wasn't put in there by the Democrats. It was put in there by the Republicans. Now, how in the world can the Republicans be against black people and the Democrats for them? Now, what goes on in New York City? Very simple. There are white supremacists, racists in control of the Democratic Party in the United States. And they pretend, they have everyone pretend they care to solve the problems of racism. And they keep them going and going and going so that every time they can show the problems, blame it on the Republicans who never get to be in charge, and then promise they'll fix the problems if you put them in. So like, here you got New York City, and to ride on the bus or the subway costs $2.75. And the Democrats are in charge. They've been in charge from the get-go. And what do they do to poor black children who want to go find a job? Every child in the United States, 16, 17, goes try to get a job. And everyone who in the non-poor ghetto sections of the country, the parents help the children. But in the ghetto, the children don't know who their parents are. And they don't have money to get on the subway. But they want a job, they got to get out of the ghetto. They do, but they can't get a job. And what do they have to do? Jump the turnstile. So this wonderful Democratic-run city has a whole set of schemes going on. Democratic judges, $3,000 a week pay. Democratic prosecutors, Democratic public defenders. And if a boy who tries to go get a job, which is a responsible thing to do, and he jumps the turnstile because there's no other way for him to get to go where the jobs are, what do? They target the black communities, the poor communities. The police don't go in the rich communities and watch who's jumping the turnstile. They just do it in the black communities. And then they take the black boys and they take them to the court. And the policemen say they jumped the turnstile. Sometimes they don't actually do it. The policemen lie. New York City policemen are good at lying, especially about black people in the black sections of town. It's true. I sat there and watched them do it. I sat in the courtrooms in New York City and listened to them, how they deal with these 16-year-olds, 17, 18. And the public defender doesn't say to them, well, did you do this? Never. They just say, well, listen, plead guilty. They assume they did it because they're black and poor. And the policeman said they did, but they know the policemen lie, and they know that they should know, if they're not insane, that the child's trying to go get a job. But the purpose of the Democratic Party in New York for the last 80 years has been set up children, black children, so by the time they're 18, they can put them in jail for anything they want to accuse them of, whether they did it or not. Oh, you didn't jump the turnstile. All right, you want a trial? They'll sell the 16-year-old fine. You got to wait 8 months for a trial, and you're going to have to stay in Rikers Island. That's the prison. It's a lousy prison, because we're not going to let you go free. We're going to make you stay in Rikers Island. And then how are you going to prove you didn't jump the turnstile? The policeman's going to say you did, and you're going to say you're not. And I heard the public defenders tell them, who do you think the judge is going to believe? And the judge must believe this.
Excuse me, sir, could you lower your voice a little bit? Some of us are trying to do some work on the bus.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyway, there's one of the many, many people in New York City who love the Democrats and will just keep putting them in. And they have absolutely no responsibility to the fact that the Democrats are creating criminals out of the black children. So by the time they're 18, they can put them in jail. And then we still have a 50% unemployment rate among black males because the Democratic Party runs New York State. In upstate, they have Democrats working for the government, running the jails. They used to be white, now they're white and black, but they all have the same thoughts in their minds. And the system is used to create jobs for Democrats. The whole city, everyone's a Democrat, everyone gets everything they think they want, and they vote for Democrats. In the meantime, the Democrats have given an atomic bomb to the Iranians. They've given them permission to have one, and they're going to have it. They have one. They're going to get 50 of them. And guess where they're going to blow them up? They're going to look for a place with a lot of Jews, a lot of gays, and a lot of blacks. Well, if you wanted to kill a lot of Jews, a lot of gays, and a lot of blacks, where would you put an atomic bomb? And all they're going to have to do is float 5 of them into the harbor in ships. And if they float 5 into the harbor, one of them is going to blow up. So I'm showing you New York City because it's probably going to be gone, along with all the people here, the wonderful Democrats who are against racism, but the party isn't, who had a bankrupt city, and then Donald Trump fixed it. He fixed it. He came here and he revived the Hyatt Regency Hotel when nobody else in the world wanted to do any development in New York City because it was dead. 42nd Street was full of sex shops, and everyone was leaving the city. The city was bankrupt. And Donald Trump says, let's go there and see if we can help. And he borrowed money from his father. Now listen to the Democrats. Hillary Clinton, in the last debate, October 20th, said he borrowed $14 million. And he said he borrowed $1. Now, for some reason, in her way of thinking, if he borrowed $14 million, that makes him a worse person than if he borrowed $1. Well, Donald Trump borrowed this money from his father. The father didn't give it to him. He had to pay it back. If he succeeded or failed, he had to pay it back. Now, if he borrowed $14 million, like she says, then he was worse of a fool than if he borrowed $1. But he didn't do it for Donald Trump. He did it for New York City. And he went to the Hyatt Regency Hotel next to Grand Central Terminal. And he fixed it up. There's Trump Tower. He fixed it up and he got, for the first time in 10 years, or maybe, I don't know how many years, there suddenly were some construction jobs in New York. And then he came up here to 57th and he put up Trump Tower. Then he went across the street and he revised the Plaza Hotel. That's a world famous hotel. And every time you see a movie of New York City, especially Central Park, you see that. And he did those 3 things. And then you know what happened? People all over the world started looking at Manhattan again and saying, gee, maybe we were wrong. Now, why in the world would you want to put Hillary Clinton in president? She's going to borrow money and make you pay it back with tax dollars to pay some people to fix some roads and put some bridges up. That's the stimulus packages. And then the jobs will be gone in a year or 2. No more jobs. You need to borrow some more money. Instead of putting a person in who has created 10,000 jobs that are permanent jobs all around the world. Why in the world would anyone vote for Hillary Clinton and think Donald Trump is bad? Because he's rich? Well, Hillary Clinton has $40 million according to net worth. So is she poor? Well, where did she get it? Oh, she worked hard in business and earned it, right? She went around talking what she talks and people gave her money. And I'm from Arkansas. My father was born in Arkansas. I knew the Clintons. Mr. Clinton isn't even a Clinton. He was adopted. That's a fake name. These people are insane that would vote for Hillary Clinton for president. When you listen to what she says, And of course, the news media tells you she's wonderful. Nobody who wants her can tell you any reason why she might not be good. And it's pretty much the same for Trump, except anyone who's in favor of Trump has a reason they're in favor of him. And they can tell you what it is. Right or wrong, they can do that. Not for the Democratic Party. And here they are putting the blacks in prison in New York State, and in Illinois they do the same thing. Every city in the country that's controlled by the Democratic Party, it's been controlled for 50 years or longer, is having racial problems, has a high unemployment rate amongst black males, and the ones who are successful, middle class people, can't live. They don't make enough money if they have a job to pay their bills. They gotta borrow money like the Congress borrows money. And if they wanted to run a woman for president, why is Hillary Clinton the only possible one? There's no other woman in the Democratic Party who could be president. It has to be Hillary Clinton. 15 people tried to be the Republican nominee, and the other 14 were all party people like Clinton is. The problem with this country is people don't participate in democracy. They don't get together with their neighbors and talk and think and decide. They wait around for the news media to tell them what they should vote for. They don't get the facts. And they vote for people who will put their children in jail, and then they'll vote for them again. New York City is full of the worst racism in the United States. Because if it wasn't, after 80 years of the Democrats being in control of the city council and in control of Congress, they would have ended this 50% unemployment rate amongst black males. And they haven't. But Donald Trump hired plenty of black people and white people and every people of every race to work for him. And they have jobs, and they'll keep having jobs, whether he wins for president or not. But Hillary Clinton hasn't hired anyone. She lived in the White House for over 2,000 days, and she never invited a poor black family or a poor white family to the White House. She never spoke with a person who was poor. She may have had Al Sharpton go there. He's got $5 million, and Jesse Jackson's got $30 million, according to net worth. Now, how in the world is she for poor black people or middle class people? Only by her words, not by her actions or her deeds. And it's time for us to end this racism in the United States. The Republican Party was created to end it. And in 4 years, they gave the Emancipation Proclamation. And then in the 60s, the media fooled you into thinking the Democrats were good. And you moved. And now, what do you have? Nothing. Time for poor people to save this country by stop listening to the news media and thinking for yourself. There's 100 black grandmothers who are on SSI who manage their budget every month and take care of their families, even though their families are in trouble. Now, one of those women should be president of the United States, but there's no such person who would have a chance to be president. But Donald Trump is a private citizen who makes jobs. And as president, he might make jobs. He's not a racist. He doesn't hate people from Mexico. But he does think that if the law says you shouldn't come across the border, and someone does and they break the law, he thinks that means they're a criminal. But the Democratic Party doesn't think they're criminals. And the Democratic Party is the one who made the immigration laws. They've been in control. If they want the Mexicans to come from Mexico, then change the law. And let's say it's come as you please, and it'll be okay. But the only ones who come from Mexico are the ones who want to commit crimes by coming here. The ones who want to be good, upstanding citizens apply, and they don't get in. And now all these criminals came across the border, 10 million. They have 5 million children who are all citizens of the United States. But she says children, and they're 20 years old, most of them. And she says, oh, the parents have to go back and leave their children here. She's lying to you, deceiving you. Well, the children can go with the parents because anytime they want to come back, they can. They were born here. And if they did it right, they could bring their parents back because they're related. But that's not what the Democrats do. The Democrats use the legal system to oppress people and pretend they're not doing it. And the stupid Americans keep voting them in. We deserve what we have. But this is poorfortrump@gmail.com. We'll probably lose, and no matter who wins, you can count on an atomic bomb getting blown up in New York City sometime in the next 12 years. Because the Democrats gave it to the Iranians. And that's what they want to do with it. They want to destroy. This bus ends here. Okay. Thank you. So this is New York City, folks. poorfortrump@gmail.com. Of course, this is a futile effort because the media, nobody will let this go viral, share it with anyone. But we did our best. Well, we didn't do our best, but we did what we could do.